One of my favorite moments in anime is the character change within Zenitsu, where we see him go from a cheerful, cowardly kid to an iller killer. Hey, I'll always be a sucker for a Rock Lee type. That's what gravitated me towards Zenitsu. It takes him motivation to get built up to do something, unlike Rock Lee, but like Rock Lee, he can only do one thing. I love seeing that there's a bunch of different breathing styles and all the techniques that go with them. What I love about Zenitsu is that he can only do one technique with his thunder breathing style. I like a character that faces a challenge. Thunder breathing has 6 techniques, but he's only mastered the first one. And where that might be seen as a disadvantage, I love that his master, Jigoro, the one that taught him the thunder breathing technique, didn't see it as that way. Keep in mind, Zenitsu didn't even want to be a demon slayer. Our man was tricked by a girl that he loved and was raising money for her, but was actually raising money for her and the guy that she liked to actually run away in this whole scheme. And Jigoro was the one that got him out of the scheme and out of the debt. And that payment was him training him to become a part of the Demon Slayer Corps, which is so wild when you think about it. He's training this kid, and this kid is entirely cowardly. He doesn't want to do this shit. And no matter how hard he tried to quit, his master Jigoro kept bringing him back each and every time. And even though Zenitsu is cowardly and doesn't want to do this shit, he still doesn't want to let Jigoro down. So to see that he can only do the first step, he feels like a failure. But Jigoro is the one that makes him see it differently. While Zenitsu's being down on himself, Jigoro starts tapping him on the head every so often, saying, "Do you know how a sword is forged? It's folded 7 different times." And he's asking Zenitsu, "Do you know why it's folded that many times?" And Zenitsu's like, "I don't know, man. Also, I'm about to cry over here." And Jigoro tells him it's done this many times to get out the impurities from the metal. You strike it over and over to get out all those impurities, and what's left is a strong blade. That's why he's been clobbering Zenitsu like this the entire time. And he tells Zenitsu, "Yo, it's okay to cry. It's okay to run away. What I don't want you to do is give up." And we see this is why Jigoro had no problem going after Zenitsu whenever he tried to run away or escape practice. He was a person that still believed in Zenitsu and always dragged him back to do the work. Now on the opposite end, there was another student of Jigoro called Kagaku. Now Kagaku, he's really like a Sasuke type, but like elevated to just asshole levels where he just sees himself above Zenitsu. That dude is entirely insufferable. Kagaku was always berating Zenitsu for being such a crybaby and like, "Yo, you don't understand. This dude right here, this dude teaches us he was a Hashira, yo, and you're over here wasting his time." Kagaku looks down on Zenitsu. Yeah, he's cowardly, but he represents how any of us would act being in a world full of demons. He's loud, he freaks out, he does not want to be here doing this shit, and when he gets so overwhelmed, he passes out. But it's when he passes out that he becomes a monster, because he's just running on instinct. Just like Rock Lee, whenever he gets knocked unconscious, he can still fight due to muscle memory. Zenitsu is the exact same way. When he passes out from being overstimulated, he's a straight killer. And I love that about him. He's the first person I saw when Demon Slayer was first debuting. I saw a clip of Zenitsu first, thinking he was the main character. I learned that he wasn't, and then when I watched the show, I loved his introduction. My man's really like, "Yo, I don't want to fight, dog. I ain't trying to do this shit." But he excels at it. And I love how like Tanjiro has a strong sense of scent. Zenitsu has a strong sense of hearing. He can hear people's intentions, which is how he knew when he met Tanjiro that he was such a pure person. And when Tanjiro asked him to look after his box, because there was something very important in there, he knew it was a demon, but he's like, "All right, well, this dude's pure of heart, so if he's asking me to watch this, it must be something important." Which is also why he took that ass whooping from Inosuke, who was trying to get in that box. And he didn't fight Inosuke back because they're not supposed to fight each other. It's a rule within the Demon Slayer Corps. And I love seeing these guys come together. And yeah, Zenitsu is cowardly, but if he's given assurance, he'll go along with his friends. When he was too scared to go into the forest to help save those other Demon Slayer Corps members, they left him behind, and he was thinking to himself, I mean, I would have gone if y'all just, gave me a bit of a push. I would have gone. And he still goes into that forest by himself dolo. And when he runs into that spider demon, we see just how far he can go with that first step. Yeah, he can only do one move, but he can do that move 6-fold, which was unheard of. The speed on this kid is ridiculous. And what I love about his technique as well is that it's a Yatsu technique where he's drawing from the sheath for more speed. I love seeing samurais who fight like that. And when he was poisoned, it was his thought of Jigoro that kept him from dying because he slowed down his breathing, just like he had taught him. That slow breathing helped the poison to not spread as quickly. And then we see the slacker elements of Zenitsu, where he didn't really take his medicine regularly. And we saw how he responds when he hits a wall in training as well, kind of just giving up. But when he had that motivation from Tanjiro on how to get better, he then started to proceed to put more effort in. And I love how we keep saying like, yeah, I can only do this one technique, but I got different versions and variations of that technique. Because he's already fast as fuck when he does the thunderclap and flash. But then we see he has thunder breathing technique, thunderclap and flash, godlike speed, where he can go even faster. I love a character that can make the best with what they have. Yeah, he's cowardly, but he's still a cheerful kid. And as the series go on, we see he gets stronger and doesn't really have to pass out anymore in order to defeat a demon. A man's finally able to stay conscious during a fight and see what happened. And that's why I love Demon Slayer. We always have this joke like, yo, Tanjiro isn't doing this shit to be the best Demon Slayer ever. Nah. He's doing this shit because the healthcare system is fucked up in this world. He's got to find a cure for his sister. Whereas Zenitsu's doing this shit because he had to get out of fucking debt. Which is like having to fight demons because you got student loans. Which sounds crazy, but yeah, that's pretty believable. And when they start the Hashira training, you see your boy going through hell. Which is funny when you think about it because he was trained by a Hashira. Now he has to go through more Hashira training. Different Hashira's training. Your boy is going fucking through it. Kids out here getting drowned in a fucking waterfall. Having to get put into a freezing river in order to be revived. The training is just harsh and horrendous. And he's being told that he's got to move a giant boulder too. Your boy's like, oh my god, the fuck is all this? Not again, dog. And we're seeing him about to hit that wall again because he's looking at Tanjiro, and Tanjiro is moving the boulder. And Nosuke is moving the boulder. And Zenitsu's getting visited by his bird who has a letter for him. And he's like, hey, can you not rush me right here? Look, I'm already feeling like I'm getting left behind right here. And I haven't made any progress. Your boy's feeling down on himself again. And his bird is like, yo, no, read this letter. We then see Tanjiro going to check in on Zenitsu and if he moved his boulder yet, and he hasn't, but his demeanor is entirely different. Tanjiro tells him he's moving on. Zenitsu's like, yo, cool. Glad to hear that. Tanjiro brought Zenitsu food, and he's like, hey, are you alright? Because you haven't said much over the past couple of days. Yo, you already know when someone in anime is talking to you with their back to you, shit is different now. Zenitsu's telling Tanjiro, I understand what I have to do now. He's speaking with the same energy Shawn Michaels had when he wanted that rematch at WrestleMania with The Undertaker and put his career on the line. Whenever someone starts talking about, I understand what I gotta do now, I understand it now, it's clear to me now, things are not okay. Tanjiro's wondering if something happened and there's anything he can do, and Zenitsu tells him, yo, focus on what you need to do. Tanjiro's telling him, yo, I'm worried about you, and Zenitsu's just saying, you really are a good person, aren't you? Thank you. And that's it. The camera then cuts to Zenitsu clutching that letter and bleeding from his head. Talking about no matter what happens, this is some shit I gotta do. I gotta take care of. That cowardly, cheerful, exuberant kid we've been following all this time is gone in this moment. Zenitsu has become someone else. And this is what I love about a comedic character. It's so dope to see them be like the cheerful person or like the everyman in something. But then when that switch happens and we see them go serious, oh, then it's a different story. We're seeing that transformation happen with Zenitsu. And I love this because when Muzan attacks and takes everybody into his castle, we then see all these different reactions from the Demon Slayer Corps members. Because remember, the Hashiras took it to Muzan. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to change the fucking battlefield now. They were surprised to see themselves falling into his world. We saw Tanjiro and his boy, they were shocked. And Nosuke, the sick fuck that he is, he was excited to get it scrapping. We see a bunch of clips of other folks that are either confused or panicking. And then we cut to Zenitsu. He ain't screaming, he ain't panicking. All he does is grab his sword, tuck that shit in, open his eyes, and your boy is ready for war. This kid is entirely different now. That free fall was so cold. A man just like, yo, it don't even matter. Your boy is goal-oriented right now. And this is the part where I'm going to give you the big spoiler warning because what I'm going to talk about hasn't happened in the anime yet, but has in the manga since it already wrapped up. So go away right now if you don't want to be spoiled about what's about to happen. When we see Zenitsu in the Infinity Castle, he's walking into a room like he's looking for someone and he just says out loud, you're here, right? I know you're here. Come on out. And then we see the upper rank Moon 6 demon come out, and it's Kaigaku, the former classmate of Zenitsu. He's telling Zenitsu, hey, is that how you addressed your senior? And Zenitsu tells him, now that you're a demon, I don't see you as a senior anymore. Kaigaku's like, ooh, harsh words. Anyway, are you a pillar yet? Can you do more than one form yet? Or are you still trash? Zenitsu is over here talking with a bite we ain't ever heard before. Told that boy, you look real happy to be the bottom level rung of an upper moon. Told that man, why are you so happy licking demon boots, dog? Called that man an entire coon. Kaigaku's like, oh, you talk back now. And Zenitsu just has one question. Why did you do it? Why did you become a demon? You were the rightful successor to the Thunder Hashira and you became a demon. Why? We then see Zenitsu screaming, if you didn't become a demon, Gramps would still be alive. He wouldn't have killed himself. Gramps was a nickname he gave Jigaro, the Thunder Hashira that trained him. Gramps felt such shame and dishonor over what Kaigaku had done that he committed seppuku, which is opening your own stomach. And usually there's someone there to behead you so that it's a quick death, but there was no one there. And Zenitsu cannot get over this. Gramps suffered a long and agonizing death, all because Kaigaku decided to betray them and go with the demons. And Kaigaku's like, I don't give a damn about any of that, man. Hey, I'm always gonna go to people that go to bat for me. Kaigaku's like, yo, I did all that training, all that heavy lifting, and for what? Because he never gave me the successor title. He wanted us both to share it. Rather than share the successor title to the Hashira, he'd rather betray the entire human race and go rock with the demons. And Zenitsu is sitting there like, I cannot believe this. Yo, you're calling Gramps senile. Nah, he wasn't. If I'm dirt, you're trash. I can only use the first breathing technique. You can do all the others, but you can't do the first. Gramps died in misery because he was unlucky to get the two of us as successors. And Kaigaku, he didn't like being put in the same category as Zenitsu, and he attacks him, still using his sword techniques. He's using the fourth form of the thunder breathing technique. But Zenitsu different now. He sidesteps that and lets him know, yo, too slow. Kaigatsu's saying, oh, he moving like a whole different person now. And Zenitsu was never the type to talk shit while he was fighting either. But this fight is personal now. Kaigaku's stunned, but he starts talking himself up because you know how a narcissist works. He's like, alright, I mean, yeah, he's fast now, but he can't compare to an upper moon rank. This kid's still trash. I remember when he was crying his eyes out during practice, and that old fool wanted me to share successorship with him? Nah. And now we see him doing the second form, the lightning ball attack of the thunder breathing. And Zenitsu's like, okay, 5 attacks at once. I see you ate a lot of people to get this, didn't you? And we see Kaigaku doesn't give a fuck about right and wrong anymore. He then goes for the third form of Zenitsu. And when that doesn't work, he unleashes the fifth form with a bit of a twist. He threw some blood demon reinforced techniques into there as well. So now these slashes not only slash you, but they also burn and crack your skin. Kaigaku's playing the long game here as he then goes for the sixth form. The more hits Zenitsu takes, the more this shit burns over time. Kaigaku's telling him, yeah, this blood demon shit that I'm reinforced my techniques. I'm way stronger now. I ain't trash like you. Don't forget that. And now Zenitsu's reflecting back to Gramps telling him, yo, learn from Kaigaku. Irony of this is Kaigaku, unlike Zenitsu, can do all the steps of the thunder breathing technique, all 6. But because he doesn't have a strong foundation with the first technique, all the other techniques are weak. Whereas Zenitsu has perfected the first technique, but he can't do the others. Kaigaku looks down on Zenitsu, but Zenitsu was actually coming to his aid when people were talking bad about him in the Demon Slayer course. This cowardly kid was still sticking up for a fellow classmate that shits on him. They were saying that the first form of the thunder breathing technique is the basics. And since that's the form that Kaigaku can't do, that means the other forms must be nothing then. Because Kaigaku didn't have a solid foundation with the first form, the other techniques are weaker. Zenitsu overheard that shit, and he ain't like that shit. Which is why he then got scolded by Kaigaku, hearing that he was making trouble with other Demon Slayer Corps members. Zenitsu never told Kaigaku that he was sticking up for him. And he knew Kaigaku hated his guts, and he hated his guts too. But he did respect him because he was hardworking and he was driven. He was special, just like Gramps was special to him. But motherfucker was always dissatisfied. Always so high and mighty about everything. My man was entitled as fuck. Zenitsu put it like this. The box of happiness in your heart was open and your happiness kept leaking out. And as Zenitsu's on the verge of getting rocked again, he tells Gramps, yo, I'm sorry, but this is where we part. Kaigaku sees that, yo, Zenitsu still got some fight left in him, and before he can even realize it, he's already hit with the 7th form of thunder breathing, the flaming thunder. Kaigaku was beheaded in an instant. He's like, I'm sorry, what the fuck just happened? I couldn't even register that. The attack was way too fast. He didn't even see what form it was. Even as a demon, he couldn't even see it coming. And as he's falling to the ground beheaded, Kaigaku's like, yo, okay, I see what it is. He taught you another form. He really was playing favorites with us. He taught you something he never taught me. And Zenitsu tells him, no. Gramps was never like that. This is my form. I came up with it. I wanted to fight alongside you using this one day. And Kaigatsu realizes, yo, wait, a 7th form? Thunder breathing only has 6 techniques. This guy who could only do the first form created a whole new technique. And even in his death, he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna die, but he's gonna die as well. We then see Yushiro show up like, nah, he's good. He also tells Kaigaku, yo, keep this in mind for like the 5 seconds of life that you got left. Those who don't give to others will never receive anything. Like those who only desire will end up with nothing. Because you can't create anything. Also, dying alone is real pathetic. Anyway, we out. And while Yushiro is carrying a semi-conscious Zenitsu's in like this dreamlike state, and he's seeing his Gramps across the way. I love this scene because we don't really know if he's imagining this or maybe he was actually seeing his Gramps there. We see them in this valley and it's separated by water between the living and the dead. And he's shouting out to Gramps like, yo, I'm sorry I couldn't get along with Kaigaku. You even wrote me a letter. I never got to answer you. And even here, Zenitsu is taking the blame like, yo, if I wasn't around, maybe Kaigaku wouldn't have done this. And he's asking for forgiveness, begging for forgiveness, and also telling him, yo, I'm sorry I couldn't pay you back. Because when he had that debt, Gramps was the one that got him out of it. And here we see Zenitsu admit something where this kid we thought was very cowardly and didn't want to fucking be here doing his Demon Slayer shit. He did want something. He wanted to become a pillar while Gramps was alive. And Zenitsu's trying to cross over to the river, but he can't. He's stuck where he is and he keeps begging for forgiveness, asking if Gramps hates him now. He's apologizing and apologizing and apologizing, and all Gramps says is, Zenitsu, you are my pride and joy. We then cut to the Demon Slayer Corps members that are medics healing Zenitsu. Incredible scene. I cry every time. This was my favorite part of Demon Slayer because I loved that change within Zenitsu. Not solely because the cheer went away and he became more hardened, it was the cause of that shift. That's what made this such a captivating turn for this character. I'll always be a sucker for that type of story development.